Hello, thank you so much for coming to the Sashiko Live Streaming. This is Atsushi, and this is the live streaming where I stitch Sashiko while talking about Sashiko story, Sashiko cultural story. It's vice versa. I talk about Sashiko story while I'm doing Sashiko stitching. Either way, this is not a lecture or tutorials or webinar or any other like Q&A section. So I will not be able to answer any technical questions. Show me something or do something. I do not answer those requests, but I will try my best to answer the questions about cultural perspective or more like story perspective of Sashiko. So for that, if you could bring some of your stuff to stitch together, that'd be great. And I would like to make this 1 hour session or live streaming as a place for us to keep stitching together. Alright, let's check the audio. Yep, that's good. Hello, thank you so much for coming. Today is the English one, so that's good. I brought some topic today. Something happened, and I don't know if you know that. I decided this topic right after that, so it's not right after that. After some thinking, so I kind of have to talk about it. But I'm more calm down than that, I guess. Well, I'm not calm. I'm less confused, but more concerned, but not angry. Well, I'm angry. Well, I have another topic that I realize it is about my mother and myself, the difference between us. So I will talk about that as well. How do we approach Sashiko differently? Yeah, that's probably. Alright, so I will change the camera to my stitching, so I will start talking. Your question is always appreciated. Okay. Okay, yes. It's Thursday. I cannot believe it's Thursday. I feel much more tired. I feel it's like Friday or even like weekend. It has been 5-6 years since I have started this live streaming, and also Instagram too. Like, it has been about 5-6 years since I immersed myself on the internet. And come to think of it, that's a pretty long process, and there are, actually a lot of good memories. So that's why I'm here, and I'm very grateful that I have pretty good community, pretty big and absolutely great community here right now. So I'm very fortunate to have what I have right now. At the same time, it does not mean that it was an easy way to be here. I have had a lot of negativities going on, or aggression. The fancy word I learned, if I may use that, like gaslighting, microaggressions, entitlement, cultural appropriation. Those things happened in this channel as well. Well, not a cultural appropriation, but we have been talking about it, and some people don't like those topics, and some people dislike to the point that they cannot stop themselves to attack others. So believe it or not, in last 3 years or so, I have received quite many negative comments, and every time I tried to understand what was going on, and I'm getting better. I don't really engage in those negative comments, and if it's purely ignorance or negativities, I really don't engage in that. But this week, what happened was quite confusing, because it was not any of those kind. And that's why the title is like that, like, wait, how does this happen? And I actually got confused before getting angry. So I would like to talk about it a little bit, but at the same time I don't want to spend whole 1 hour just talking about it. So I hope I can move to the next topic about my mother and myself. There was the comment, I think that was on the Instagram, mentioning about the request for me to talk about the different approach to the Sashiko. From my approach and my mother's approach, we are a different approach to that. So that might be the second topic, and the first one is the first topic that I have to talk about. It was very nice to watch your channel during the pandemic. I helped many to be connected with the world. Oh, that's good to know. Thank you. I don't know if you are. I don't know if you are. Sorry, I don't know if you know. No, what I'm trying to say. Huh? I don't know if you who are watching this here knows about it, but there was a video on the BBC. It's not a BBC channel, it's more like a bbc.com, and the cultural section, the producer working for the BBC filmed me for 3 minutes or 4 minutes length. It was like a day shooting, and he did such a fantastic job to summarize it into one video clip. And I think he was really listening. He did not bring some prejudice or some understanding or some goal or theme to film for. Instead, he really listened to what I was trying to say. As the result, it became quite interesting video clip. It does not really explain what Sashiko is, or it might contradict what it is introduced already in English, but it is pretty interesting perspective to look at what Sashiko is. So if you have not checked that, please check it. It's on bbc.com on the cultural section. If you don't find it, I should have it somewhere. Like on the Instagram highlight, I should have it there as well. Alright. It was well presented, thank you. As much as I liked that message, but I realized that I'm not built for the media. I mean, they did not put they did not put the makeup on me. We did not really prepare for the shooting, but at the same time, I was trying to perform. I was trying to act. I was trying to be different, but I sucked at it. And many Japanese friends messaged me, wow, you were trying to be somebody else. And like, yeah, I was trying to be somebody else. You know, it's a different face. It's not the like smile or facial expression I usually do on live streaming, I guess. So my Japanese friend pointed out almost immediately. So like, that's right. That is right. So I'm not built for that. I can probably... I shouldn't say that I can even act. I don't know if I can act or not. But at the same time, I'm not built for that. But you know, it's natural, right? If you get like a request to be filmed for the BBC, you wanna look nice. I thought of putting the makeup on, but you know, probably makeup by me is worse than nothing. Like I did not want to be like, I did not want to be like a drag queen introducing Japanese Sashiko from a traditional perspective. And that is not something I wanted to do. So I tried to be as neutral as possible. And but I probably tried to make the face. Tried to make the face, and you see the result. It's very well summarized. It's very well spoken. The story was very well told, but it's something you might find it like, well, it's kind of not natural, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm not built for that. But yeah, it's one. If there's one significant thing about this BBC, it is the first time when the producer actually travel to my place. So he lives in New York City, Brooklyn or New York City. And his first request was for me to travel to New York City. But because the deadline was quite close, their time frame was not that long. It's, recent medias are like that. The article is supposed to be ready within 3 weeks or 2 weeks sometimes. So he wished to have me in New York for the following weekend, but I couldn't do that because I have my daughter to take care of. And if I plan it in advance, it might be possible, but it was not possible in that short time period. So I said, I'm happy to be interviewed, but there's no way that I can go there, and I'm sorry, it might be uncomfortable for you, but I cannot just travel to New York. And he said, well, it's only 4 hours, right? I'll try to get there. And, it is only 4 hours. It's not requiring flying. It's not that far from New York. 4 hours driving is far from me, but, it's not like here to California. So he drove to me, and that's kind of the first time. Every time I say that I cannot travel to New York or travel to you to be interviewed, they try to find somebody else who can be nearby. And I think he had a choice to do so. Like trying to find... Well, even not trying. He had a choice to find somebody who might be able to speak up about Sashiko, who is not Japanese. I don't know what kind of qualification they have, but there's so many people in New York, so if he tried to find somebody, he could have. But in his professions, he kind of waited. He tried to balance what is the best case scenario, spending some time to trying to find somebody who might not meet his expectation, ending up with getting not as, something he wanted, or spend 8 hours traveling to come to here with respecting me to be the one. And he decided to respect me, and that was really nice. I really appreciate what he did, and it's pretty much his work. I just was here. I was here waiting for him while cooking the dinner for the family, which I offered for him, and he had dinner with us too. That was nice. And, he came to the New York while I was cleaning the dishes. So it could be the part of the ordinary, and that was something I really appreciated. Like New York Times or NPR, they did not need the movie video. And NPR is more like a radio, so what they needed was my voice over the this kind of setting. So they sent me the very good microphone, which I had to send back, of course. But I used their microphone over my computer. And New York Times asked me to send them some photos, but they spent so much time in writing that. So, if it's not a video, we can do it remotely. But when it gets to the video, we have to do, there was one actually museum asking me to send them the video, which was actually a good choice because that was very far. Is Rome in Toronto? Royal Ontario Museum. It's in Toronto, right? Yeah, I couldn't travel to Toronto and they couldn't travel to me. But yeah, I filmed some of my stuff to them. But at the same time, it's not gonna be me. I cannot film myself by myself. Well, technically speaking, I can, but I'm not good at it. So the fact that he came over to me was really, really, really a big deal to us, to me, for that. Hello, Janet. Thank you so much for coming back to the Sashiko. Sorry for not getting the comment. I enjoyed this 3 days workshops. I forgot how to pronounce their name. Swainworth Art Center. So very much. I have been showing my friends in San Diego some of the project we worked on. They're intrigued. They are intrigued. That's very, very appreciated. Thank you so much for sharing your work. Did you finish that jacket? Like, did you finish that? Well, you probably have finished it already. It has been 2 weeks, right? Wow, I'm so happy. It is my honor to be able to share that. It is like I do offer the 3 days workshop, and the first day everybody gets confused. No, I'm sorry. Like I do offer the 3 days workshop, right? The first few hours of the first day, which is very, very, very important. The first day is pretty much everything I teach. We define it as a core and essence. And if I offered a day workshop, only 1 day workshop, which is the minimum, that's the most important day. But for the first few hours, many people get puzzled because of what I introduce and what I share and what I show. And they kind of have a uncomfortable face, like doubting themselves if they can do it or not. Some people get excited because they really, really wanted to do it and they know what they're getting. But in many cases, they get confused. The second day, third day, sometimes people can get to the rhythm at the end of the first day, or even in the middle of the first day, but having 3 days is very, how can I say, it's very enough. It's very proficient to have dragged them into this. I probably dragged them into this addiction. So, like, few hours might not be enough to drag them into this mud. But after 3 days, some people cannot get out from that mud. And that's really my pleasure to see the change within them. And I like those who try to make the project bigger. I enjoy watching that. One did not probably expect that much stitching initially, but after experiencing that, they feel like, oh, I can do this probably. And they can. That's the whole point. They can, as the result. It gets more and more stitching and everything. So that's my pleasure. It's great. Thank you for that, Janet. Okay, I don't know if I'm supposed to be talking about it, but let's mention that a little bit. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know how to put this one. You know what? Let's take a break a little bit. Let's take a break a little bit. There's a commercial which I don't like, but there's gonna be the an ad. I hope it did not happen in this 20 minutes, but there's a certain time period I said that ad is gonna go off. Now I'm gonna put the ad. I'm gonna click the adding the ad right now, advertisement. So I will have another 20 or 30 minutes without any advertisement. So I will take a little break and I will come back with that. Oh, Green, thank you so much. I agree the workshop was fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your history and culture with us. I learned so much and have been excited about continuing to practice. My neighbor was so impressed by my jeans. See? But my daughter won't let me touch the hole in her jeans. That is very natural too. They don't like it. The kids sometimes don't like those patches or handmade. I hate it. I personally hate it from my gut, so it's a different value. My daughter doesn't like it either, so it's very understandable. Okay, a little bit of break, and then I'm sorry if the ad kicks in, but I prefer to not to have ad while I'm talking something more specific. And I can, make it 0, but according to YouTube, they kick in anytime they want, so I try to control as much as I can. So now it's a little bit of break. Should be good. Yeah, so hello Sharon, thank you so much for coming. Yep, I put the commercial right now. It might show up for some of you. I don't think I can stitch while talking about it, but I don't know how to put it in a nicer way. As I said in the beginning of this live streaming, speaking up in public like this comes with consequences. I expect that there will be a lot of both reactions, positive reactions as well as the negative reactions. And the bigger my voice gets, the more extreme it gets. And thanks to many people, I have many good positive people supporting me, and as the result I am here, and thanks to them I'm here. At the same time, there are some negative comments, and I received many many advice that I should ignore them, dismiss them, don't engage with them, and I'm learning that. And most of the sort of negativities I used to get, I have had so far, was very much targeting what I think or what I say or what I write. One big example is that when I write the word cultural appropriation, they think that I am gonna be accusing them for being not Japanese and practicing Sashiko. As the result, they don't like me saying about cultural appropriation, or even the word cultural appropriation is not good. In fact, though, if they watch my video, they will find out that I'm saying the opposite, exactly what they're saying. I say that don't worry about the cultural appropriation too much. Only things I ask when you do Sashiko is to acknowledge the stories behind it. If they ignore the stories behind it, then it's gonna be cultural appropriation, or even worse than cultural appropriation, like cultural simplification or twisting. If they change the culture on purpose, for their benefit, for their profit, then that's gonna be the issue. But as long as we try to enjoy together while acknowledging each other, I think it's okay, or even it's welcomed. We should probably I welcome that. Well, since I'm not doing Sashiko, I will show my face. It might be better. So I think it's okay. So that's my Sashiko so far. That's my Sashiko journey so far. I am sharing as much as I can, and I get sometimes negative comments, and I try to understand what they're meaning, and also I try to understand how it happened. And usually it happens because they don't know me. They don't spend enough time to kind of understand what they are dealing with in front of them. Because they think that, because they have some prejudice or some expectation that I should be writing or I shouldn't be writing, they are reading what they want to read. And I understand that we have a cultural difference, and we have a pre-understanding of the things. So most of the negativities I receive comes from that. And because it's more like, there's a huge gap between what I'm trying to say and what they say about me negatively. Like, there's only one way to fix it. I will have to ask them, I have to wait for them to read my stories or listen to me carefully, because we're not really fighting in their negativities. We're saying exactly the same thing, but reacting differently. So, until, most of the comment I receive in negative way, I understand how it happened. I don't like it. And don't get me wrong, I don't like it at all. I don't really enjoy those things at all. But I understand. I can try to understand how it happens. I'm not nice to them. Don't get me wrong again. I'm not nice. I don't want to be nice to those people who give me nasty comments. So I dismiss them very strongly, and the comments I make is not really nice. But again, it's more, I can understand, logically I can understand it, how it is happening. However, one thing happened this week was completely outside of my brain. I could not really understand it. So this is going to be the leading topic today. So wait, really, what does it happen? How does it happen? And I literally experienced the confusion before the anger. And in order to make sure that I am not misunderstanding the flow. It's the worst thing to be upset with based on the misunderstanding to me. So I wanted to make sure that what I'm reading is what I'm reading, and it's not a mistake by any people. So I asked the third person to read it. It ended up with that third person getting more upset than I was. So we did not read it wrong. It was like that. And if you know it already, it's going to be a repetition. I'm sorry to repeat that. And if you want to go through the very details, there's a link for the Instagram post explaining what happened, which is on the description area. But pretty much what happened was that there was the thread on the one community, online community, Facebook group, and there was the thread talking about what is the correct way to do Sashiko or incorrect way to do Sashiko. If you follow this channel, if you follow my Sashiko, you know that I don't say any right or wrong in Sashiko. We have some wisdom technique to follow, and we can make it rules, but I do not force others to follow those rules, because I don't think there's general or rules to apply the whole picture of Sashiko. It can be, or not can be, it should be, not even should be, it is always the choice. If you want to follow the rules, that's perfectly fine, but you don't have to follow the rules. It does not define if it's Sashiko or not. So the discussion topic was that, I found these photos of explaining what is correct and incorrect. And I've experienced seeing those photos a lot of times. From books, from website, from Pinterest, everywhere is there. So I don't react to those comments because it is also their choice to follow the rules somebody defined. And that's their right, Sashiko, and there's no right or wrong in their choice as well. If they want to make their Sashiko to follow somebody's rule, that's perfectly fine. I want them to understand or know that there are more Sashiko around, that rule they think it's the right thing to do. Long story short, I don't comment those. I don't make any reaction to those posts or those thread. Even if I think that there's no right or wrong, I don't make those comments because by saying that there's no right or wrong, I am telling them that there is the right way to interpret this. So again, I'm not really gonna engage. I have not engaged in those discussions, and I will probably not engage in those discussions from now on too. But when somebody said like this is the very strict rules, of course there are the other comments from the other perspective. Well, I don't follow those rules. It can be free. It can be more, joy. More, instead of following the rules, we can more focus on how we feel about it, and that is also true. And there was the comment replying to that, and something like the comment, that thread itself started a little bit unfriendly, unnecessary, unfriendly in the level of unnecessary. But one of the reply to those unfriend discussion was that check this YouTube channel, check the YouTube channel I'm doing right now here. I share some stories and which can be interesting, and that person, I really appreciate him saying that, because the person was saying that they are learning to stitch from the wrong side. So when we stitch on the wrong side like this, we will not have the wrong side or right side at the end of the stitching. We will have both sides. So if we look at the front good side as the answer, we will have the wrong side as the not following the correct answer. We don't follow either of that. We try to make both sides as the finished side as the result. We don't have really correct answer. So she was following that, my teaching, I guess it's my teaching, and she mentioned my name. This is Atsushi. Actually, that person did not mention my name, but there is the YouTube channel saying like Sashiko Story, and there's a person who is talking about Sashiko from his understanding. It's me, and that's interesting. So why don't you watch it? To reply that comment, so that unfriend, one side of the unfriend discussion, the person who was making the unfriendly discussion commented that, well, he is not well respected in Japan. That was the comment. So the person wrote that Atsushi is not well respected in Japan. It is quite offensive, quite nasty comment when I think about it later on. Not on the spot. On the spot I was like, huh? Okay. Let's see. Is it really what I'm reading right now? It could be a mistake, right? It could be a typo. It could be, I don't know what's going on. Because that is not only false statement, it's twisting everything I'm talking about. Like, is there any Japan that I don't know? Probably there might be another country so-called Japan that I don't really know anything about it. I mean, I'm not saying I know everything about Japan and everything about Sashiko in Japan, but if I were not well respected in Japan, how can I keep sharing the Japanese Sashiko live streaming so long time? So, like, what is going on? Then many people around me start getting upset, like more like furious. And then I'm sort of getting like, wow, that's really bad, that's really bad. It's defamatory. Yes. And it is quite illegal. When we talk about defamatory, I think I'm saying, okay, it's like a defame, right? Because it's not truth. So I was observing as the first person in the whole story. I was expecting the moment of twisting the culture. And I don't know where she's from, and I don't know what is the background she has. I can look, and I'm looking into it, but sometimes she probably does not speak English, and she does not probably speak Japanese. And she's not in Japan, yet she can talk on behalf of all the other Japanese. So it is not a personal attack. Like, I completely understand if the comment was, well, I do not agree with him, or even I hate what he's saying, so I'm not gonna watch it. That is perfectly fine. It's not fine. It's not. I don't like it. I'm gonna get upset. I'm gonna be unhappy about that if that's gonna be written. But that's understandable because it's more like her opinion, or that's her opinion. I cannot change her opinion. But when it is written like that, it is the defamatory. At the same time, that is the way to twist the culture. I mean, as I have been speaking up the last 5 years, and many people listen to me, thank God for that. Nobody probably believed that. At the same time, because anybody can say any questions, especially if the person is somewhat influential in one group. For example, she has been answering a lot of questions in that group, so some people might believe what she's saying is right. In that case, the truth is twisted. The culture has been twisted. The Sashiko's practice itself is twisted. And then I start worrying. Not worrying. I start thinking, what if I were not be able to speak English? The fact that I can speak English is a pure luck. I don't want to say luck, but it is a luck. It's like a privilege I have. If I did not hate Sashiko, I wouldn't be speaking English right now. Because I hated Sashiko so much that I had to get out from Japan. It was not a positive thing for me to go outside of Japan to study. I didn't have like a big dream to be in the US, to live in the US. I just wanted to get out from Japan. I mean, I liked the idea, but I did not expect that it's gonna be that difficult. It was very difficult for me to go through the culture. I mean, graduating the college from the second language is not easy at all. So it's a pure luck. I can speak, and it's a privilege that my family could somewhat send me. And my family was wealthy enough for me to go to the high school, which was the minimum requirement. As much as I did a lot of work and hard work, it was pure luck that I can speak English. What if I were not so the culture I'm practicing can be completely wiped out if I don't speak good English. Not like well enough to communicate or represent. I have to proficient enough to understand those nuances. And that kind of freaked me out. And that kind of makes me think like, wow, it's probably not happening only in Japan and not only in Sashiko. It is happening in many other crafts. And personally, as a Japanese person who grew up in Japan, it is a huge statement to make. Like, without, even with sincere confidence, I will hesitate to write like that. Like, even if I have a line-up proof, I wouldn't defame somebody like that in public, where everybody can take a look. So that phrase came from the confident. Like, non-Japanese saying about the Japanese culture, Japanese stitching Sashiko, saying that he who introduced Sashiko in Japanese as a Japanese Sashiko practitioner is not well respected in Japan, requires something I cannot understand. Like, I still don't understand it. Even so, it's not really. I hope that I'm not well respected. Huh? I hope that I am well respected in Japan, but I don't know because we don't talk about it. Like, if I were in Japan, if somebody said I respect you, I have to doubt what he or she's saying. That is like a very scary thing. I respect you so much. Okay, what do you want? Alright, so you're being nice to me, thank you so much, but what do you want? Like, I have to kind of doubt, because we don't share that. It is not okay to share either way. I respect you, I disrespect you, we don't talk about it. Like, we don't. We can like somebody, but respect is a little too strong word. And I hope that some people respect me in Japan, but it does not matter actually at this point if I am respected or not. Because the phrase itself is already non-Japanese. And it is already changing Sashiko because that's happening in the discussion of Sashiko, about Sashiko. It is fundamental issue as the cultural perspective because it has become something completely different from Japanese at this moment already. At least one part of Sashiko. So, there's nothing I will do about this. I will just let it go. I don't plan to attack somebody back, but it is what's happening right now, and it reached to this level. It's not even the personal attack, it's not misunderstanding, it's something going on. And I like to try to understand it. That's probably what's going on. Okay, let me read while I'm stitching. Alright, Susan, I'm sorry, Dahlia, thank you. You have the right idea to not to take it personal. Everyone is brave behind the computer and keyboard. Is it bravery? Bravery. Probably. Bravery. Okay, bravery might be it. But confident, right? Like, that confident is very interesting. And Susan, thank you. She's very active in that group. Yeah, I think so. I kind of found out that later, but she was very active in that group, but it does not seem like people in the group think highly of her. Wow. Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much for that. I did not get to that conclusion that easily. They're pretty nice. So, okay, that makes sense too. That's one way to understand that too. So I was just involved in one of those. I was involved in one of the I don't want to say crazy, but I was involved in one of those accident. I am not really active person in that group because there's so many self-understanding of what Sashiko is. I sometimes get tired. Well, I mean, I have every time I see some photos, I have a reaction, right? Within myself. Well, that's probably, yeah, that can be called Sashiko, but I don't like it being called Sashiko. It's my preference. It's not like a definition. It's more like my preference. And because I get tired, I'm not really active on that. So if the person did not mention my name, I wouldn't be checking that. Well, I sometimes check what is right and wrong. When people discuss what is right and wrong, I sometimes check that. But usually, if the members are posting their understanding of Sashiko and their application of their understanding of Sashiko, I don't take a look. I just respect what they want to do. It's not a place for me to shame others or win over the argument. That's not my interest. If they want to call it Sashiko, I hope they will understand, they will learn more. But that's not my place to do so. I have a place here or there to talk about that. So, okay, that's a good to know. That phrase didn't come from confidence, it came from bitterness and unhappiness. Huh. So it's not a confidence. Bitterness and unhappiness of what? Me being famous? Or me being like somewhat with fame? Like if that's defaming. So she thinks that I'm getting a lot of fame. Well, BBC didn't help. BBC probably didn't help. I have a video on BBC and that didn't help. I'm not aware of a situation, but I can feel that she's hurt. That person took your integrity in a flippant manner. Yes, she did later on. It happened like gradually. I don't enjoy going back to that thread. So I don't. I just don't want to see that phrase. At the same time, I did not want her to delete it because deleting is worse than actually writing it. So, it's gonna be like a body bro, and that's why I have to talk about it little by little. But yeah, it's integrity. I am so glad. Thank you, Mandy. I'm sorry, Mandy. I'm so glad to finally catch you live. I just wanted to say I'm so very grateful for your Sashiko story and your post. Always so informative. Thank you so much for your support. Well, I mean, thanks to the people like her and everybody here, I am not going to stop sharing it. I know it's only one way to do it. Susan, I don't think you can ever understand. I am trying to understand. Well, but I will take your advice. I am very much. Your word means a lot to me. Okay, so you don't think I can ever understand where she's coming from and why she's saying that. She sounds bossy and bitter, close-minded. So, okay. Oh, sorry, Adrian, I skipped yours. I think the impersonal communication on the internet makes it easy for people to forget they're talking to about real people. I bet she never would have said that to your face. That's very true too. At the same time, probably she will never come to somewhere that we will see each other. If she when the person recognizes me that much, it's probably difficult to admit that we have to be nice to each other. But yeah, it got a really good point. Like, that's a very good point. And that's what the internet makes it evil a little bit. internet is the savior. I can do a lot of things because of the internet, but also at the same time, the internet is killing some of the things. Like Japanese culture right now, I'm talking about. Susan, and people ask her for more explanation and to support her statement, but she never came back. Yeah. So I don't want to go through, like you as like people here, I don't want to go through some like negativities, but reading that page is a little bit of interest. Like it's some people said it's a negativity. Some people say it's a personal attack. Some people say it's like a trolling or haters comment. I did not take it like that because I know the other haters comment, and that's more. It's more like simple or plain. It's like slap. They can slap my face with those nasty comments, and I feel very pain right away, and I don't like it. But that's a slapping my cheek, so I can come back very easily. But this experience is a little bit different. I keep saying it's a little bit different because it's like a body blow. It's unknown. Lily-san, thank you. I am in Japan. I respect you. You have given me a lot of knowledge about Sashiko, and you are a dear friend, very interesting person. I really like you. Lily-san, thank you so much. ありがとうございます。I don't know if she would say that in Japanese. English makes us easy to say that. But at the same time, it makes me feel a little, ay. I don't know if she says, well, she might say that. Well, but at the same time, well, we have a very long relationship. Like 4 years of talking a lot, so that's more like a friendship. But if one person knows me yesterday, or if one person doesn't know me at all, and if the Japanese person doesn't know me at all, and if he or she says like, I respect you from nowhere, that's a little creepy things. I don't mind receiving that in the US because that's the culture we live in. I'm talking about the different culture. In Japanese, it's not gonna happen much. And Susan's comment. BBC didn't help, and the other person she likes was bitter that okay. Many people on the thread criticize her, and they do not on other posts too. I don't think anyone can understand where she's coming from or make logic of it. Huh. So it's not my problem. Oh, the ad just played. God. Oh, it has been 30 minutes. Stop ad. I hope you didn't miss anything. I was reading Susan's comment. It's not my problem, huh? Five seconds. I don't like that. I'll look into this again. Okay, that's. But I keep saying but. I don't want to contradict to Susan. I think what Susan is saying is the answer that I have to accept. Is it really personal? Like, is it really her personal issue? Like, I'm not 100% sure about that. Wine, thank you so much for purchasing the domestic course. Enjoy that. That's one way to start the stitching like us. I agree with Susan at some level, and I understand what she's saying. At the same time, I'd like to explain what I'm feeling. I don't think it's my personal thinking, but I don't think that it's a personal issue only. Something made her to say that. I'm like, of course, in order to say those nasty things, one has to be unhappy, one has to be frustrated, one has to be, very much not happy about something. But it's not a personal thing. There might be a big movement that I am not really realizing it somewhere. Which I understand it because I am aware that I am kind of making the distortion or cracks or unbalancing it, especially if one is very much confident in being a master of Sashiko in English. My phrase is quite annoying. I keep saying like Sashiko introduced in English is not wrong, but not enough. It does not explain the whole picture. And I even changed that statement to the Sashiko introduced in Japan, not in Japan, Sashiko introduced in English is simplified, yet romanticized. So those two statements can be quite annoying to some people. And I may be not realizing that there might be a big movement in the different side. At the same time, it happened in Japan too. There's so many kinds of Sashiko in Japan, and I believe that each Sashiko don't like. There are some relationship that they don't like each other. Like some Sashiko may like each other, some Sashiko they might not like each other, and that's a natural thing to do. But they don't really show that. No matter how one say nasty things in one group, it's the courtesy to keep it inside. But it is like emerging right now. And it's not me who is starting it, so it is probably a personal issue. At the same time, I am afraid. I am in the fear of destroying the balance that many Japanese people have cultivated from now. Like last 60 years, we did not have any major dispute to define what is right and wrong. They each have what is right and wrong, but they never fight in the public place. Well, of course, one thing, they did not have internet, so they didn't have place to fight. But at the same time, it could be on the books, so it could be publication. So they have developed a very interesting balance to respect and appreciate each Sashiko. And my intention is not to cause the distortion. No, sorry, my intention is not to create separation or dispute. Some people might define what I'm doing as the excluding others, but I'm trying to include some Sashiko which is not included yet in English. So I'm trying to have people on the board again. There's nothing I can change. I will not change what I say and what I do. But it's probably, I have to be prepared for that, and I have to be very mindful. I don't want to be emotional, which I'm very good at. Well, I mean, I can be very angry, and I can be very stupid when I'm angry. But at the same time, I like to be as mindful as possible what's going on. Again, I'm not going to change what I say, what I do, because it is true that Sashiko introduced in English is not enough. Like, there's no such a thing as enough English. Enough Sashiko, by the way. There's no such a thing as enough Sashiko. I can talk about the Sashiko we practice, but that's it. I cannot talk about outside. If I start saying I know everything about cooking, ooh, that's a bad sign. I need money for some reason, so I will probably say that I need money, but that's a different story. So Susan, I'm not gonna read the comment. Sorry. I'm not gonna. Okay. That's what I kind of thought. That's what I kind of imagined. That's kind of like a guess. But I will leave it there. I shouldn't probably say out loud from my mouth. So I really appreciate you. Right? That could be so. I think so. Might be so. Like it might be pretty obvious that if you read thread around it, but it's our interpretation, and I don't want that to be the. I don't want to expand this. If it's already a dispute, I don't want to make it worse. I might make it worse if they, if I don't know, but it's not my intention to make it worse. So until the last moment, I will try my. Okay, I will try to keep my shit together until the last moment. Like I was about to lose it, but I'm trying to keep it until the last moment. But I can, as long as I know, as long as so far, I am keeping my shit together. So let's keep that way. There might be the time that I cannot do that. There might be the time I say like, F it. Bring it on. That might be the case, which I don't want to go because that's not very Japanese, but at the same time, I'm not sharing this in Japanese right now, so. Shoo. Sorry for using the S word. Keep. I don't know the other expression. Keep things together? No, that doesn't sound good. Keep my emotions together? No, keep what together? Okay, I clicked the delay button for the commercial, and it's now clicking down. It's scary. It's now 18, 17, 16, 15. So there might be some advertisements soon. We're all allowed here. Well, I wish I were a kid. Also, I am the public figure now, so people will start coming after you. Yes. Yes. I am a public well, yeah. I probably have to admit that. Well, I can say keep it together. It means same. Okay. Thank you. I will use it nicer. Keep it together. I will keep it together. But that doesn't sound right. I'm sorry. It's probably right. Not probably right. It's absolutely right because it's the English language and you're native for that. But it does not sound. It does not sound like. It's like I feel like there's missing something. I don't mind people coming after me, just I don't want to change it the way that I don't like. What are you saying, Susan? So I don't seems like Atsushi seems like an individual person with human feelings. I'm not. I'm not an individual. So I'm like a figure with no human emotions. That's really interesting. Like, I'm being extremely difficult on the SNS. Like, if you see me in person, if you know me in person, I'm a completely different person. Even like the online gathering, I am completely different person because I try to be extremely difficult on social media. Like, very, 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 very difficult. Like, I don't want to be friends with me on the Instagram sometimes. Wow, I'm so mean, I'm so difficult, I'm so rigid. But that's the way for me to be so straightforward. Because that's the message I would like to deliver. There are something that you may not know. There's something that you cannot understand, like in one sentence, outside of your culture. And that's what I'm talking about. So some people have to go through very, very uncomfortable process. And I would like to be as stubborn as possible to push that through. So it is very, very, I really appreciate that many people trying to read what I'm writing or what I'm sharing. You see it all, yeah. So yes, once someone gets popular big enough, people may be thinking about you more like a corporation brand rather than the person. Well, I am not a single, I'm married, but I am a mid-aged Japanese who can only stitch and who can also prepare some good meals, but who can stitch without, who cannot live without the wife who win the bread for the family. I still don't, no, I don't think I can sustain this family without her. Like, if I have to purchase the insurance and also everything to live in the US, mortgage, no, it's not. No. I don't want to even think about it. No. But it's not probably what it is, right? Starchy potatoes, 100% agree on what? Oh, 100% agree on Adrien, probably? Sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name right. Yeah, so that may be, but that does not apply to that Facebook discussion, right? I understand it probably outside of, like, general speaking. If it's like a general idea, I think I understand it. But that's not gonna apply to that interaction on the Facebook. She didn't attack me because I'm the figure, right? She knows who I am. If one person can make that confident, well, like that nasty comment so confidently, that person has to know me more. No? Like, it's risky to say that without knowing it. So, either whether it's true or not, one has to know to make that kind of comment about the target. I said target. I did not want to say the target, but the target it is. Okay, Susan, I'm taking your word. Next time when I talk to you in person, I may need your help, but that makes sense. It is not okay to apply the logic here. Okay. Susan is saying that I'm trying to apply the logic, and which means I shouldn't be applying logic. There is no risk. No, people make all sort of unsupported. So I am really not experienced in this world, I guess. There are a lot to learn. There are a lot to learn. Well, thank you so much for the... I really appreciate though. Like, this is something I'm not losing my temper. There we go. Yes, I am making myself crazy by trying to apply the logic. There I am right now. Here I am. Like, confusion it is. What the heck is going on? So I shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, so I'm not losing my temper. Don't get me wrong, I am really, really, really angry, but I'm not gonna do anything crazy by losing the temper. Like, I'm not gonna scream, or I'm not gonna be like, vocal about it. At the same time, but this phrase is like contradicting to what Susan is saying. So I cannot understand what she's thinking for that perspective. So, well, let's see how it's gonna go. Well, I'm not gonna be different. I cannot be different anyway. So I'll keep sharing the stories about it. Then, I really appreciate you being here, and I keep saying that I will never stop doing Sashiko online, or sharing the stories on Instagram, or live streaming. But there's one, like, a condition that I probably will stop doing everything to the public, which is when I realize that the majority of people do not need me. Well, I might not stop it as long as there's one person who is needing me. So I might be contradicting right now too. I will take that back. I might keep doing it until the last moment, but it is always learning process. And it might be impossible, but at least I would like to try that. Okay, so a little bit of stitching, a little bit of talking. Unfortunately, I'm sorry that I could not continue the live streaming to the more beautiful topic. That's not a more beautiful topic. It's interesting topic to talk about. How do we approach Sashiko differently? We as my mother, Keiko, and myself. I will elaborate this topic next week, and I try my best to not to forget about it. But we are from the same Sashiko, right? Technically speaking. Not exactly, but we are from the same Sashiko. We practice the same Sashiko, technically speaking. I have to explain a little more about it. But we do have a different approach. And even in the one same Sashiko, we have completely different approach. And it is okay. It is okay to do that. So I sometimes don't like what she's doing. Not sometimes. Many times. I do not agree what she's doing, and she sometimes doesn't like me doing something very differently. Do we fight every time we do? We don't. Do we say something nasty behind her back? We do. But it's not meant to be activated. Our disagreement should remain disagreement. We agree to disagree that we do not agree. Huh? Yeah. Huh? We agree to disagree about what we like. So in one Sashiko, let's say in one tradition of Sashiko, we have multiple ways to approach it. Like some of the people might be thinking that middle finger, using the middle finger, right? Like, there are tons of video right now about the running stitch of Sashiko Unshin with using the middle finger. And, I don't know the other upstream. If you know the other upstream, like some other Japanese people, like elder Japanese people, like let's say 60, 70, like with 30 years of experience, 40 years of experience, using the middle finger when they do running stitch, I really like to talk to them. I would like to learn from them. But in our tradition, using the middle fingers are the minority side. They did not use the middle finger, so it's more like me, who are very bad at doing this, needed some other adjustment, which was very helpful for those who has bigger hand. So it's okay to have difference. It is perfectly fine to have the difference, and we kind of contain those difference. We don't have to like each other, but at the same time we agree that we don't like each other. We don't really attack each other neither too. So that's the Sashiko I kind of know. That's the Sashiko I would like to introduce as well. Like, I don't have to like everybody's Sashiko, but I'm not saying they're wrong. Again, there's no such a thing as wrong Sashiko, so they are doing something right. At the same time, that's not the whole picture. So I don't know how I can do it, but that's what I would like to try to share that. Sorry, they from the starchy potatoes. No worry that it was from earlier, referring to how when you gain a bigger standing, you seems less and less like a person. So yes, I'm learning that I'm not a person with emotion. At the same time, it does not mean that I should be acting like that. I have to know it, but I shouldn't be acting like that. So I will act like a human being. And there are something that might be outside of the box of Western people, Western culture, the culture in English. And that's what I'm trying to introduce. To be strictly speaking, one might have to learn the language to get that fully. But it's not, I don't want to say like, well, you cannot understand it until you've learned Japanese. That's the kind of my way to neglect this mission. So I will try my best to share as many stories as possible throughout Sashiko. That's the only thing I can do. And I hope one day that we can recreate the sort of not peaceful but balanced community that we have in Japan, in everywhere in the world too. So Sashiko is not the word for the mending. Sashiko is not the word for the visible stitching, mending. Sashiko is not a technique. Sashiko is not only a technique. Sashiko is not that. Sashiko is not B. Sashiko is not C. I keep saying Sashiko is not. Then the question is, then what is the Sashiko? I would like to make a society where we can stop there. We don't have to explain what Sashiko is, but we know what Sashiko is kind of when we practice it. Like for the practitioner, for the people who stitch, for the people who like Sashiko, they know what Sashiko is. For them, not for everybody else. But they have their own definitions, and we are all happy, or we are all okay with that. So that's the goal, and I really appreciate that, without you, without people here, we cannot do that. So I hope you keep coming back to the live streaming every Thursday night, and every Friday morning it's gonna be in Japanese. But yeah, I really appreciate being here, and I hope you have a very good night tonight. Okay? Thank you for continuing to share your stories despite the rudeness and closeness of some people of mine. Well, that doesn't stop me. If it has stopped me, I am not be here already. So no matter what happens, I will not stop doing this. Alright, thank you so much, and I hope you have a very wonderful night. Bye bye.